folks, welcome back to the channel, The Brig Sweethearts. A couple of weeks ago, I did a video on the new Despicable Me 4 sets. If you haven't yet seen that video, make sure to go watch it on our channel. It's extremely fun. I had an absolute blast making the video and building those sets, so it's well worth a watch, especially if you're a fan of Minions like me. At the time of making that video, I had not yet seen the new Despicable Me 4 movie. I was too impatient to wait until I had a chance to go to the cinema, and I just wanted to build that Lego. I have now gone and seen the movie, and I also happened to come across this retired old set from the Minions Rise of Gru. So in today's video, I'm going to be building this plane while giving you my thoughts on the new Despicable Me 4 film. Let me get the pieces out of the box here and set up, and we'll get right into it. My initial thoughts after watching the movie was Despicable Me, more like me is disappointed. And I know what you're thinking, isn't this supposed to be a movie for children? Yes, of course, but just because it's for children doesn't mean that they can get away with bad storylines and lazy writing. And also, don't forget, we have 5 previous movies to compare it to and to use as a baseline, and in comparison to those, this was a huge downgrade. To explain what I mean further, let's go back and discuss the previous movies that I'm referring to as a baseline. In all of those, Gru is always in emotional turmoil where he has to choose between continuing being a villain or turning to the good side where he gets to look after his family while always dealing with a supervillain that has some sort of an evil world-ending plot. The pacing of the previous films helped create suspense and tension when it came to the evil plan. The stakes were very high, and it was made clear that if Gru would fail, a massive catastrophe would occur. It's not like the previous movies were amazing works of literature. It is still a children's movie after all, we did not forget that. However, it was a much more consistent escalation, and it kept the viewers engaged and invested into Gru saving the day. In this movie, the villain's motivations are rather strange and anticlimactic. I would say it's a bit weird and out of character for a supervillain to be making such a complicated and convoluted plan over something that I would consider a minor embarrassing moment, rather than having ambitious motivations on taking over the world, for example. The setup for the villain in this movie, Maxime, was that he found the ability to turn himself into a cockroach, as well as mind control cockroaches, which gave us the impression that he might then want to use this power on other citizens and subsequently turn them into cockroaches while using mind control on them, and then be able to take over the world that way. This premise was quickly thrown out the window when Maxime was embarrassed by Gru and his team arresting him at their school reunion. From then on, his main focus became kidnapping Gru's baby to turn him into a cockroach as part of revenge. Because of this pivot, what could have been a great master plan, the rest of the movie, the writing suffers as Gru and his family go into hiding, and from then on, we see very little interaction between Gru and the villain. Instead of tensions and suspense building up to a great catastrophe, we get a socially awkward Gru, which was extremely out of character and not present in the previous movies, and a cringy plot of his family trying to settle into a suburban neighborhood and pretend like they're a normal family. The biggest crime of all, whether or not you like the little yellow Tic Tacs, the majority of the Minions were completely sidelined from the movie, and the whole Mega Minions plot, which I thought was a great idea and had so much potential, was quickly sizzled out and had very little impact on the rest of the story. Let's be honest, the majority of people and kids who watch these movies watch them for the Minions first, second for the 3 little girls and the adventures that they get up to, and only then for Gru and his shenanigans. However, in this movie, both the Minions and the 3 girls had no impact on the story whatsoever. I feel like you could extract the scenes that they featured in and add them to, you know, those Minion Shorts programs that you see on Netflix. That would be a much more appropriate place for them. I know I sound a bit negative, however, I genuinely feel that the premise of this movie had so much potential that just did not come to fruition. If they had only focused on Maxime turning everyone into a cockroach and taking over the world, I feel like that would have fixed a lot of the issues that I mentioned earlier, and it would have made for a much, much better story. Let's get into some positives of the movie and some of the standout scenes that I did genuinely enjoy. One of my favorite scenes is when Gru and his new neighbor, who doesn't like him very much, go to a local country club to play tennis, and one of the minions decides to jump in and act as a referee. There were more red cards thrown and whistles blown in that one scene than in the entire history of tennis ever being played. That minion definitely had a bone to pick with Gru's opponent, and he did not leave him any chances, which made the whole scene absolutely hilarious. Overall, there were still enjoyable moments in the movie. The little screen time that the minions did get were still quite good and funny, so it wasn't all doom and gloom. Although I wasn't very happy with the storyline and I do wish that they had improved on it, I would still recommend to take your little one to the cinema to watch this, as I'm sure they will still get a good laugh out of it. Since we are mainly focusing on Lego on this channel and not movie reviews, let's discuss the Lego sets that they gave us for this film and any potential future releases. The sets that we were given for this movie release are Brick Build Gru, Gru's house, Banana Car, and the Party Bus. Now, Gru's house didn't really feature in the movie that much, so I don't know if it's the most appropriate set to be included in this particular theme. However, I'm not going to complain, as it does look pretty cool and it is definitely a set that I would like to pick up for myself. The Party Bus Lego set was extremely fun. However, I feel like the movie depiction of it was a little bit of a letdown. I feel like the animation provided by Lego was far better and more fun. Strangely enough, the Banana Car, unless I'm mistaken, didn't feature in the movie at all. While I'm quite pleased with the sets that we have got so far for this theme, while watching the movie, I have seen some potential opportunities that I would like Lego to create, so let's quickly discuss. These are the ideas that I think would look great in Lego form, and they include Maxime's cockroach ship, vintage flying car, Gru's old villain school, and AVL headquarters. In conclusion, I am still a huge fan of the Minion franchise, and I am so glad that we get to have Lego versions of them that I can keep adding to my collection. I know that this wasn't a typical video that we make, but I do hope you enjoyed my thoughts of the movie while building a Minions Lego set. Let me know down in the comments if you have seen the movie and what your impressions of it were, and whether you agree with my opinions or not. And what Lego sets do you have in this theme? Perhaps you have some interesting ones from previous years that I haven't gotten since I wasn't collecting Lego back then. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to give it a little like, subscribe to the channel. We have plenty more videos coming. I cannot wait to get my hands on additional Despicable Me sets, and when I do, I will be making videos for those, so make sure to stay tuned, and until next time, take care folks.